Dubai is the one of the few countries in the Middle East where you can just say what you want to say without the fear of getting your head chopped off.
No, you can. You have Dubai, you have Bahrain, you have Kuwait, you have
the Gulf states,
Lebanon. You have
Lebanon too.
Lebanon, Jordan. I played on all of these,
but not Egypt.
Not me. It's actually like Russell Peters was just in Egypt. So
was he? Are there any Middle Eastern countries you just would not feel safe going, or just completely uncomfortable going there telling jokes? What countries?
For now, for me, Egypt.
Straight up. Like, would you go to Afghanistan? Would you go to Iraq? Would you go to Syria?
Afghanistan, no. Syria, no. Iraq, no.
Would you ever perform in Israel?
No.
You would not?
No.
Why? They would accept you.
I don't accept them.
You don't accept Israel, the state of Israel?
No, I don't accept them taking care of me getting in. That's no problem. The problem is when you go in Israel, it's not about going in Israel or not. It's that the fact that they really show you a terrible time. You go in the security, they treat you like shit.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I've been invited by Palestinians a lot to go to there. So, like, I would go to you, but, like, I don't want to deal with the border control of Israel. It's just because they humiliate you.
And that's because you're Arab, or that's because
I'm Arab.
But they have 20% of their population is Arab. They're not leaving.
Yeah, but they're treating them like shit.
Not according to them. I've seen them. I've met them.
I met them too. I mean, they don't have, like, you're talking about the 20% of Palestinians?
I'm talking about the 20% of Israelis are Muslims, are Arabs.
Yeah.
If given a choice to move to any other Middle Eastern country, given the state of circumstances of the Middle East, they would choose 100 times out of 100 to stay in the democracy of Israel. Why don't they leave?
Have you talked to them about their healthcare and their schools? Because they're about like 25 Arab cities that they don't have hospitals or schools. They have to take...
In Gaza or in the West Bank?
No, I'm talking about inside Israel. I'm talking about Arabs with Israeli passports, fully fledged Israeli citizens. They don't have a single cinema, they don't have a single hospital, they don't have a single school in their cities, and they have to go to the Jewish states in order to go there. There are many, 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 many daily microaggressions against the Arabs who live in Israel having the Israeli passport. Mm-hmm. Even within the Israeli community, you have slurs like Arabi Malukhlakh, which actually that's their N-word. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can go on and on and on.
But slurs are going to be everywhere. In America, where we're all equal, there's slurs.
Yeah.
Every day I get called a dirty Jew. You think I'm crying?
No, but like every day here, if you find someone's like nigger, that would be,
basically 200 years of America.
Exactly. But like when you have like one part of them is much more stronger, and actually control the other one, and all they do is like slurs, because the Arabs cannot do slurs against the Jews.
So why don't they leave?
Well, some of them actually, because it is between like a shock and a hard place. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole idea about like Arabs living a wonderful life, they're living good life compared to other Arab countries, which is a really low bar. And the fact that like can use like a low bar to sell, and at least they're happy now. It's like, I'm living here because I don't know where else to go.
I appreciate you saying that, because the bar in many Middle Eastern countries is very low. I'm
not coming here to defend any countries.
I know you're not. I'm asking what countries you would go on tour.
I'm just saying that the security and the equality that Israel wants you to think that they have it between all of their Arabs, it is not true. They have something called zoning committees, where you as an Arab coming in to get an auction, to get a house in a Jewish town, you will not be allowed to take it. And it happened more and more and more before. It happened in Nazaret Elite. It happened in many cities that I actually talked about. There was like an auction where they found that most of the people who are getting the houses were Arabs, and the city canceled the auctions. And they canceled the auctions saying that we want to preserve the city of Tarshiha as a Jewish, Zionist, secular country. So I don't know how Zionist and secular and Zionist come in the same city. So
it's interesting too what question you're asking, right? Because like I'll sit there and if you want to read this real quick, I'll sit there and I'll talk to my friends in California, And I'll say, hey, you know, California, this, I hate California. I hate this. I hate that. I hate this. And he was like, well, why don't you leave? I can't leave California. Why can't you leave California? Well, because my family's here, my unit's here, my kids are here, my uncle, my aunt, my grandma, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, got it. But I hate it here. I wish I was living in Texas or I was living in Florida, whatever, okay. Some people here, I can't believe, you know, da-da-da. Okay, why don't you leave? Well, I can't, you know, this, that. We lived in Iran. We left, lived in Tehran for 10 years. And I mean, I went to school there till 5th grade. I read, write, Farsi, everything till I left. And I went to Germany, right? I lived in Germany for a year and a half. And then we finally get here. Like, holy shit, we make it to America, right? It's like a dream. But the people that, it's not the people that can't leave that give the argument of why don't they leave. It's the people that can leave that choose to stay. Why do you choose to stay? Like, I'd love to have a room full of 50 people who are Arabs who can choose to leave Israel. Why are you not leaving? Make sense? Just to kind of get an idea. What would you say? Why are you not leaving, right? If you have the ability to leave, you can go to a different place. Why don't you
why do 2 million people in Gaza being bombed every single day for 100 days? Why don't they leave? Because that's their land. Right? So you can be living in a very shitty situation, but you will not leave because you know that you're not going to get back again. There's those people living in Gaza, 2.2 million people. They're living under subhuman conditions. They could leave. As a matter of fact, everybody pushing them to leave through Sinai and said, oh no, we will not leave because this is our land. Sometimes you get connected to the land and it doesn't matter how bad. So to answer your question, why don't you leave? Because that's their land.
Yeah, I'm talking about the Arabs in Israel. But
because they consider that still their land.
Yeah, but there's so many different ways we can have this conversation. But everything for me comes down to socioeconomics, okay? To me, I'm always wondering, why is the Palestinian plight at the forefront of the news? Right now we're starting to see Yemen in the news. People don't realize for 10 years there have been a civil war with the Houthi rebels, Saudis, Sunnis, Shiites, Iranian-backed militants killing each other. Never in the news. Syria, tens and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people murdered. We know what's going on in Iraq, what's going on in Afghanistan. This is not an anomaly in the Middle East. But in my opinion, humbly, with all due respect, what's going on in Gaza is the equivalent of BLM in the States. What do I mean? So, black on black crime. Every single weekend in Baltimore, in D.C., in Chicago, you name the city, there's black on black crime. Let one cop kill a black guy, George Floyd, national, international news. In the Middle East, Yemen, Syria, Lebanon, you name it, Iraq, every day, Muslims are killing other Muslims. A lot of it is Islamists, fundamentalists. There's no marches, there's no protests, but Israel defends itself after October 7th, and I've seen you condemn Hamas for October 7th, but you've also sympathized with the Palestinians, as you should. But all of a sudden, that's the biggest story in the news. Why the distinguishment? Why can't Muslims say...
There's a difference between comparing conflicts, civil war, and then allowing another country to bomb you from the sky every single day for 100 days. You cannot compare the both. And actually, your tone of voice, when you say, oh, there is like black on black, Arabs killing each other, in your undertone is saying, yeah, they don't deserve to live, so let's Israel kill them.
0%.
This is exactly
0%.
what you're saying.
No, that's not what I said.
No, this is what it's saying.
I asked a question, you're reading into my tone.
You have absolutely no sympathy for the Palestinian killing because
that's not true at all. Don't put words in my mouth.
No, seriously.
I 100% have sympathy.
Your entrance into this conversation is extremely racist because you say, well, Arabs have been killing each other. First of all, the Arabs have been killing each other. These are called either proxy wars or civil wars. But this is different because the America is not standing behind Saudi Arabia voting every single UN resolution like Israel. Israel is killing Palestinians and nobody can do anything for them in the UN or the Security Council. Right? You can talk about how Saudis are killing the Houthis or the Yemenis or how Iran. But when they go to the Security Council, America doesn't use the veto. You know how many vetoes did America use since the inception of the Security Council? How many?
The problem in the Middle East, like I said, follow the money. The countries that are succeeding, the Qataris, even the Saudis these days, they're coming into the modern world. They're leaving the 6th century mentality behind and say, let's get into the 21st century. where they need to succeed, in whether it's Gaza or whether it's Lebanon or whether it's Syria and whether Afghanistan, they need to focus on GDP, not GDT. Gross domestic product, not gross domestic terrorism. And the problem is they're obsessed. Put the guns down. Put the Quran down. Actually start living by the words that the Quran says, not some false equivalent of what they think is actually going on there. You talk about the genocide in Israel or in Gaza as if it's just a matter of fact. Well, let me show some stats for you, because after you see these stats, Israel's the worst genociders ever. The numbers, according to the world data, if you trust data, between 1990 and 2022, the Palestinian population overall went from 2 million to 5 million, okay? Pretty bad at genocide if that's what's happening right there. In Gaza, it went from 645,000 to 2.1 million. It's 3x. That ain't genocide to me. Now, to 20,000 people, 30,000 people needlessly killed during this bullshit war that was started by Hamas, is that horrible? 1,000,000%. And any Jew or any Israeli...
Give me that number again. 600,000 to what?
645,000 to 2.1 million.
From what to, from when to where?
This is in 1990 to 2022.
Do you know why they increased?
Because they're having babies like crazy.
No. You see, this is how like when you watch data while being uninformed makes you look very stupid.
Tell me why. Tell me how the population has gone from 2 million to 5 million.
Yeah, because most of the 1.5 extra million didn't come from Gaza. They were pushed away from other parts of Israel. So most of these people, they have increased because of refugees being kicked out.
If you're talking about the settlers, those are tens of thousands.
I'm talking about
those
Gaza.
Aren't millions of people.
Dude, listen. My wife's family is not from Gaza, and yet they found themselves in Gaza because they were sitting in other cities and villages outside Gaza. This is the systemic pushing of people from other parts of Israel, pushing them to Gaza.
That's not millions of people. This is why I said that you're intellectually dishonest. You're intellectually lazy.
No.
That's not the cause of millions of people being moved. I'm familiar with the settler stuff and the disengagement in 2006.
You don't know what you're talking about. These are people that
millions of people?
What?
Okay.
The people who belong to Gaza are 700,000 people. Right now, Gaza is 2.2 million. That is not birth rate, my friend. These are people pushed from, and by the way, that's not the first time. 1948, at the night of the declaration of the State of Israel, 1.5 million Palestinians were like moved overnight. So it's not the first thing. So before you giving me numbers you want to appear smart, know what are behind the numbers, because these are not people giving babies.
Okay.
These are people being pushed from other places in order to be part of the open air prison that it is.
Okay, so then
it's not deliberate.
If you want to fact check me, let me fact check you. Anytime that there's numbers increasing, Bاسم, going from 650, 450, whatever you want to call it, to 2 million, however it happens, that's the exact opposite of a genocide. So the whole genocide, the whole open air prison are talking points of BS.
No,
and this is why I said you're either intellectually lazy or you just hate Israel.
Basically, this whole thing about you hate Israel and hate Islam, this is a very lazy way to talk to people.
It's kind of like your thing.
What did I tell you that is so lazy? What did I tell you, like you're fucking racist?
Because you've already said that multiple times.
No, I didn't say.
Yeah, you said that multiple times.
I said your undertone is racist. No, that's not what.
So not me, but what's going on inside of me.
And some like the way that you analyze numbers is very lazy, because again,
really, when I actually use stats and data from the most credible sources, that's lazy.
These are numbers that were outside of Gaza.
You've said no stats. You've given a fucking opinion
like
the whole time.
That California has increased triple, or this has people in Texas increased because of birth rate. No, they increased because people from California started moving voluntarily. You have pushed 1.5 million people outside of Gaza, inside of Gaza in a matter of 12 years, and that's why the number has inflated. It's not because they were giving birth rate.
So then where's the genocide?
They were evacuated.
Where's this alleged genocide happening?
That's happening right now under your eyes.
So as of 3 months ago, there was no genocide. So it's just a new thing.
We didn't actually use the word genocide before 3 months ago.
Okay, but you've been calling for the river for the sea.
We didn't use it
for decades.
Well, also Israel have a lot of maps that is putting in the greater Israel from the Nile and the Euphrates. That's genocide for 5 countries there. And this is not by people in the street or people on YouTube. These are ministers. These are officials in the official government of Netanyahu. If you have someone, an Arab president, like the Egyptian president or the Jordanian king, tell you from the river and the sea, it's like, oh, it's the Arab authorities. You are basically complaining people on Facebook and the official viewpoint point of the Israeli government. You're basically comparing apples to oranges. It doesn't make any sense. You're basically comparing activists with people with power, with money, and with weapons. So I don't know how come you're comparing
So
them.
what's your solution? Because you got all these answers and we have no solutions. What's your solution?
Justice. Stop killing people and give them back their land. That's it.
Okay.
And giving them back their land, it's going to be a much more complicated thing.
Who's going to lead your negotiations? Mahmoud Abbas, 88 years old?
I have no idea, man.
No,
I have no idea.
Yeah, that's the point, is you don't have an idea.
Well, when I say I have no idea, I'm being humble, because there's a million people who can do it, but like, I'm not a politician, I'm a comedian. I come here to tell some of my opinions, but the thing is, you want to put me, and you use that, and you give me, I'm sorry to say, butchered political information and numbers that doesn't say anything.
Stats are really butchered in political vision.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how you have all the solutions for Israel, but you have no solutions for Gaza or Hamas. Very interesting. Very interesting how you can critique everything that's going on in Israel. Yes, they do have some things they need to rectify. Just like the United States, just like any democracy. You've got all the answers there, Bاسم. When I said, what do they do over here in Gaza? What do they do? I have no idea. I'm just a comedian. Don't listen to me. So which one is it? You either know your shit or you're actually just...
So what was your question? What's the solution for
what's
Israel?
The solution
I said the Israel
for
take
Gaza?
back the land.